Adiós, detective.
Adiós, detective.
Ahora acá yo Steven, ahora saca una vacoreta. Sácala, corre.
¡Ah, un gallo!
Un gallo.
Qué bueno, tío.
Un gallo, tío.
Qué gallo. Qué guapo, yo hacía tiempo que no había.
Un gallo, The bacoretas, or little tuni, they come from the tuna family. They're very similar to the tunas, the bonitos, and it's a very strong and powerful fish. They feed like crazy, so it's a decent fish to have a nice fight with, and it's a very enjoyable type of fishing. Bueno, here we are in a nice afternoon. The water is like, it's lovely, you know. Como lo llamamos nosotros, está hecho un plato. And we're gonna go to fish the bacoretas or bonito. Hopefully we can catch a couple of big size ones and obviously release them back alive again, because that's the aim of the program this season.
Today we're gonna do some trolling. We're gonna target bonito, but especially we're gonna target bacoreta. This week some people have been catching bacoreta like about 2 miles out of lighthouse area. We have only, the sun is quite low already, so we've got about an hour fishing. But hopefully in just within an hour we can try and catch a couple of bacoreta, just to show how you actually fish them. Basically it's a trolling technique, and basically you pull your lines out with sinking lures. And basically today we're going to have 2 options. We have a deep diving lure which goes down to 4.5 meters, and then we've got another lure which goes to 3 meters, just to test how deep the actual bacoreta could be hunting.
There's actually quite a few different lures. We've been using today the deep divers, but we've got some floating ones which go about 2 meters, 1.5. These ones go for 4.5 to 4 meters depth, which were the deep divers, which were the ones we've been using today. And there's loads of type, you know. Today we've seen bait balls, we would have had some pencil jigs or any floating lures. We might have been able to cast at the bait balls and might maybe caught 1 or 2 maybe.
Bueno, listo.
Echamos las dos y después ustedes echáis, ¿vale? Control aquí.
Esa es la parte de atrás, controlado.
Rods as such that we use, we can sort of recommend, I would say, more of a size really, about 1.80 m, 2 meters 10, 2 meters 40, about size wise. And I reckon any decent rod that you could actually give the fish a fight as well, because if you use a really thin rod, yeah, you'll have a decent fight, but you can't sort of, the fish will be more powerful than you. You need a rod that can exert a bit of power into the fish and start to reel in, because when it strikes at the beginning, we are fishing about 30-40 meters, which is how I fish. I'm normally the ones on the sides fish quite close to the boat, and the ones on the center fish about 60-80 meters, and I'm fishing about 40 meters. So I reckon those 40 meters, then at the strike another 20-30. When you get it on your hand, another 5-10. It's nearly close to the 100 meters mark, you know. So you definitely need a reel with about 200-250 meters. I would say a braid of 0.22, 0.25 maximum. Don't really need that much. A bit of an open drag to sort of fight the fish. And the good thing is when you have the rod in your hand and you strike, It's es que it's amazing, man. It's pure quality, man.
Well, basically we have just got to the point where we like to start trolling for these bacoretas. This is the lure I've chosen to use today. Trevor's got the same lure as myself. This is our favorites. We're really fond of the orange lines here. That makes a really good lure for these type of species. So myself and Trevor are going to cast our lures first, and then my dad and Christian will do so after us.
The trolling, if you want to call it it's a bit boring because it's a waiting game, really. You know, we just set the lures in, and it's a waiting game. So we're chatting with each other. You know, we're talking about this. Well, like tomorrow we've got a competition, or we did this, did that. It's a bit boring, you know, because this fish, or all trolling fishing techniques, the fish actually hooks by itself. You know, it's only a matter of just trolling up and down. And it's a question of, it's a waiting game, really. It's a bit of luck sometimes, really, because sometimes you start looking at other boats and they've actually caught, or sometimes you catch, they don't, and they're like 20 meters beside you. And we normally target them at the hileros or where there's a change of current, and that's where the bait balls, the small fish, they stay stuck within that current and they can't sort of get out of there, and that's where these pelagic fish feed from, you know. The bacoreta, they're not as common as the bonito or the tunas. You know, the tuna season of this time, and I think the last 2 or 3 years, they've stayed for longer here. That's quite good, you know. It sends the message that there's fish out there and that there's bait fish for them as well here. So they stay here, they feed here, they breed here, which is good, you know. That I think at the end of the day, it's good for the ecosystem, for us that we fish them. Even though if you don't fish them and you don't like to fish, just seeing those big, massive fish jumping out of the water, it's an amazing thing to see, you know. And the bacoretas this year, it's been incredible. This time round, they've actually stayed for longer than they normally do. They normally stay here for a couple of weeks and they just go off. The bonito stays for much longer, and the tuna has been like that for ages, but this time, these last 3 or 4 years, they've stayed there. I think that yesterday we got told that a tuna jumped up by the lighthouse, so they're still here, you know. It's amazing, man.
Aquí, ¿a que sí? Recogemos, ¿no?
Creo que sí, ¿no?
Sí, recoge ustedes dos.
Venga, pues déjalo muerto. ¿Ves pichar como pincha una bacoreta, cosín? Oh, ahí está la bacoreta, mira.
Estás, tío.
Tío,
Ahí tiene algo.
Algo va a sacar.
rápido, rápido.
¿Qué pescó?
Pargo.
Buena pesca, tío.
Mi hermano tiene que no me ha llamado, ¿no?
Pargo.
Buena.
Tío,
Fantástico,
Qué carbones, ¿no?
Buena pesca de pargo, tío.
going to be trolling today for BACORETA. And basically trolling, well, the method for trolling is you have, the boat is always traveling. We usually go at a speed of about 5 knots. And basically what you have is 2, 3, 4 rods at the back of the boat with some lures, and basically you have to try and find where the shoals of fish are eating, and basically be lucky that you actually go over the shoals.
Over the shoal, right?
Today we're going to be using 4 rods, basically 1 rod each. Like that we cannot fight. Each one has a rod, so we have an equal chance of catching a fish today. Basically you have to put each rod at a different length, so they are fishing at different lengths, so they don't get tangled one with each other. Today we're going to be doing 80, 60, 40 and about 30 meters more or less.
We just gone out with a boat and perfect conditions. The sea is very calm. It's a bit cloudy, and we have heard that many people are catching BACORETAs. So the big shoals are coming in, and hopefully we are lucky and we can catch a few BACORETAs and show you guys exactly how we catch them and release them.
I reckon that they've been feeding off like about a mile, more or less, out of the lighthouse. They're catching them from shore by Rogi, so they're everywhere. But in the afternoon sessions we've been going, I reckon that hardly anyone has caught when we've been out there.
Bonito.
I got you. I got you, babe. I got you. I got you, babe.
Andiamo una con la BACORETA, man.